tomorrow, but different in the west. Clouds spilling in here with some outbreaks of rain, particularly for Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England. We could actually see some quite heavy downpours by the morning and turning rather blustery around western coasts too. Temperatures largely remaining just above freezing, particularly in the west where we see these cloudier skies, but quite a wet start across parts of Devon and Cornwall, Wales, eventually moving into central parts of England too. Northern Ireland could see some quite heavy showers, and as we see this heavy rain move across northern parts of England, we may even see some snow across high ground in the Pennines, but largely dry and bright across the far north and northeast of Scotland, though we can't rule out a few showers moving into coastal areas. Outbreaks of rain will move their way eastwards erratically through the course of the day, and it turns a little bit brighter behind this, but still plenty of showers. These could be heavy with some hail at times. The driest and brightest of the weather remains to be across the far north and northeast of Scotland. And temperatures will see a slight dip into tomorrow, particularly across Scotland, where highs will only reach around 6 to 7 Celsius, but still above average across parts of the south. Another chilly start on Thursday, likely seeing some patchy frost, but for many a much drier day, plenty of sunshine on offer, though we can't rule out a few showers around coastal areas, particularly once again across the far northwest of the country. And as high pressure begins to build, that means largely dry and bright on Friday and Saturday too, away from the northwest, will eventually turn wet and windy over the weekend. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to grab your chance to be one of 2 big winners in our latest Great British Giveaway. First, you'll win a totally tax-free £10,000 in cash to spend however you like. You'll also receive the very latest iPhone 16, and we'll send you on a shopping spree with £500 to spend in your favourite store. For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
One former Royal Marine has just set up a state-of-the-art new fitness brand which combines fitness, dating, clubbing. It's all in a very unique experience.
Yes, Will McLaren and co-founder Toby Spooner have managed to fuse well-being, dating and what they call community building in their new full-day event, Metrics, which also includes high-intensity workouts. Will and Toby are joining us now in the studio.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, gents. Thank you for joining us. I'm very interested in this because all I seem to see at the minute is high rocks. But from what I've read about Metrics, this seems like the new upgraded version. What can you tell us about it? Tell our viewers all about Metrics.
Well, it is a fitness competition, but we are combining the music and production element. Also, we want it to be quite a social event as well. So we want people to come, meet each other and have a great day out.
So what does that actually mean? Tell us a little bit more in detail. Toby, just tell us a little bit about what's involved.
So, in short, it's an immersive fitness competition.
Yeah.
So you can do a partner workout, you can bring a friend, or we can actually make people. So we're adding that dating element.
Well, it was Valentine's yesterday.
Precisely.
So
right.
is this going to be the new Tinder? People going along to Metrics and meeting their future partner?
Well, exactly that. So we've done a load of research into it, and what we've found is that exercise is slowly becoming more of a dating scene.
So is it, I assume, some behind the scenes of what Metrics will look like? Because it's still to start, isn't it? Is it March it begins?
Yeah, so the 1st and 2nd of March, so it's in 2 weeks, at a magazine in North Greenwich.
We've known each other for a fair while, but we kind of put our heads together. So we've worked in fitness for years, and we found that music really drives performance. And people love music. People will come to our classes, they'll come away and they'll say, music was so good. And it just elevates the experience. We said, how can we put this on a scale, tenfold?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out how Starmer goes all Rambo, what is the latest weapon for those committing citizenship fraud, and what children's computer game has gone far right. I'm Josh Howie, and tonight I'm joined by the yin and yang of the comedy circuit, Steve and Alan and Kerry Marks, to take you through Wednesday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Josh, thank you. Your headlines at 11 o'clock. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky plans to travel to Washington on Friday to meet US President Donald Trump. It's after officials agreed to terms on a draft minerals deal, according to multiple media reports. It's understood Kyiv is now ready to sign the agreement on jointly developing its mineral resources, including oil and gas, after the US dropped demands for a right to $500 billion in potential revenue from exploiting the resources. Trump told reporters that Zelensky wants to come to Washington later this week to sign the deal after the two leaders exchanged hostile words last week. Trump also said there needs to be some form of peacekeeping troops in Ukraine if an agreement to end the conflict is struck. Now, Sir Keir Starmer has blamed a dangerous new era for his decision to increase defence spending and cut foreign aid. Earlier today, the Prime Minister announced a major plan to increase defence spending to 2.5% by 2027, calling it the biggest sustained increase since the Cold War. But to fund it, the aid budget will be slashed from 0.5% to 0.3% of national income, sparking backlash from charities who warn of devastating consequences. Addressing the nation from Downing Street, Sir Keir warned Putin's aggression does not stop in Ukraine and said the defence and national security of Britain must come first. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister went on to attack Nigel Farage for fawning over Putin as he faced questions from GB News' political editor, Christopher Hope, on whether he was Nigel Farage in disguise.
Nigel Farage didn't even turn up to the debate in Parliament today. Nigel Farage is fawning over Putin. That's not patriotism. That is not what working people need.
In other news, a mystery disease has killed more than 50 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo just hours after symptoms began, with the World Health Organization describing the outbreak as posing a significant public health threat. The WHO and doctors in the DRC said that the time between symptom onset and death was just 48 hours in most cases. Officials believe the outbreak began on January the 21st, and 419 cases have now been recorded, including 53 deaths. According to the World Health Organization, the first outbreak started in the town of Boloko after 3 children reportedly ate a dead bat. And the Prince of Wales has met the New England boss, Thomas Tuchel, for the first time as he prepares for his first matches in charge of the Three Lions. Prince William, who is patron of the Football Association, met with Tuchel today alongside FA Chief Executive Mark Bullingham at Windsor Castle. Tuchel, who is German, has been tasked with leading England to World Cup glory in the 2026 tournament. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, where we give you the best of tomorrow's newspapers with the best of today's comedians. First things first, though, let's have a look at the front pages. The Daily Mail, PM, hard power now matters more than foreign aid. Let's see how many times we can do that hard power stuff in a second. Telegraph, Reeves calls on Europe to step up. The Guardian, PM cuts overseas aid to increase defence budget in fight for peace. So, more papers in a few minutes. But first of all, Steve, hard power.
Hard power, do you know what? It's not the funniest thing on the front page, though. As much as normally I like a kind of like, hard power joke, but PM, hard power now matters more than foreign aid because foreign aid's going to get cut. Okay. More spending on defence. This is the funniest bit. After Mail campaign, yeah, right. That's why he's doing it. Not because of Trump, not because of anything else happening. They're like, just Daily Mail's been going on about defence spending. We probably ought to do it. Bless them.
Very powerful.
Putting it right there. But, I mean, it's good. It's good, isn't it? If Trump's teaming up with Putin and we're not ready for a world in which that happens, if you're truly patriotic, you should be kind of team us, for people who like using the word team. So, yeah, it's good. We should be doing this as Europe. We should be stumping up some more money and, you know, kicking some Putin bottom. And also there's a Keynesian argument. Like, spend some money to make some weapons that either do or don't get used. So it'll boost the economy. So there's that side of it.
As long as they spend them in the UK and don't buy foreign weapons.
I don't think you tend to buy foreign weapons.
Oh, they do. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
you buy like systems from like France, like they specialise.
Only allies ones, not where you're like, oh, I know China left a back door in it. They've hacked our missiles. Don't point them at us. That's a bad move.
Kerry, where's this money coming from?
Is it my turn to say hard power?
Yes.
Hard power.
I don't know. No. Sorry, I'm just going to stop things there. That was not good enough.
I didn't want to overdo it.
No, it's got to be like more like hard.
No, I'm more making fun of that than anything, you know, because it's they're trying to give it that macho sexual connotation with a picture of Brooke Shields next to the headline smiling, which seems odd. And
we're going to sort out something in a second. But Steve, what is going on? So where is this money coming from?
So cutting the foreign aid bucket, which I don't think that's how they do it, the budget, but not cutting it by much. I mean, it doesn't really mathematically fully add up. Starmer talks about 13 billion, and actually, if you look into it, well, maybe it's not going to be that. You've got to have some assumptions.
6 billion.
It's going to end up being 6 billion.
A quarter of a black hole.
Yeah, but still, it's better to spend it doing that. I mean, we know we get talks, I think it's another front page that then talks about the mineral deal as well, but it looks like things are heading in the right direction of this. Also, I think what's interesting in this story is if you look at Kemi's take on it as well. She's becoming anti-Trump. A few months ago, the Conservatives were trying to crawl over themselves to be like Reform. We're best mates. You know, they were trying to make it seem like they were, in some way, best buddies with Trump. And now there's this move. It seems like there's a move against Trump. Being a Trump fan might not be politically good for you.
Kerry, Steve, what do you think about this? Secure at home, strong abroad. This is Keir Starmer. This is his new slogan.
Yes.
Secure at home, strong abroad.
He might as well have prefaced it with a Tony Blair's, this is not a moment of sound bites, but secure at home, strong abroad. Which actually sounds like a deodorant.
With hard power.
It is, yeah.
Hard power.
Is he back on? No, he's not back on yet.
I like the other thing they said here, that Keir said the Russian dictator would only respond to strength. Well, all bullies like that, including Trump.
Yeah, although Trump also responds to flattery, it would seem.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what's happening with he's being double-teamed by Starmer and Macron, and Macron was kind of the friendly version of it, we saw from the speeches, calling him Dear Donald quite a lot. Let's see what, how this goes.
Kerry,
hello, Josh.
You had to run to the toilet quickly.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
We're not going to admit the mic wasn't working there. No, never say it. Never admit the truth. Don't show the strings. Hard power. I've missed all of that. I was just saying, they're really giving it the macho sexual connotations with a picture of Brooke Shields smiling, and this is all about a 2.5% rise, which, if that was Viagra, that wouldn't be very impressive, really, would it? They wouldn't sell their product. The 2.5% is perhaps not enough. It's they're making it sound more like the British Empire is about to rise again, which maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. Maybe we should.
We're going
viewers vote in.
0.2%.
2.5%, which is around about 6 billion a year, which is about half the amount we're spending on giving away the Chagos Islands, which
That's what we need, the hard power.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, this money's going to come from stopping a lot of overseas aid. There's other things we could do, like getting rid of a net zero obsession that's not being matched by the rest of the world.
You're speaking crazy.
Crazy talk. Basically, Trump has challenged the world, and we've changed it. But do you know what? Seriously, I think it's not just a case of giving more money to the forces for equipment. I think we've also got a problem with how we feel about the forces in this country. We've got a problem with how we feel about patriotism. And I don't mean getting bothered by someone. I think it's fine if someone wants to burn a flag. And if anything, I think we should start making our flags out of the same material as we do our banknotes to make them a little bit harder to burn.
They just melt.
Yeah, they just melt a little bit, and you can't tear them or anything. But I think we have got into this self-flagellating, self-flag-hating, we don't really like our country and so on. I think we should be fighting that.
If only there was like a TV channel that was proud.
Yeah. There was saying we're proud of our forces and so on.
There needs to be a campaign by the Mail, because
that really loved our flag.
Our hard country and our hard power.
That was somehow less sexual than when he said hard power.
Hard power!
No, they just need a campaign by the Daily Mail, because they can get stuff done after the campaign by the Mail.
Let's go to Daily Telegraph. It's been cut off the top, though, but Alison Pearson, I'm taking the police to court. That's kind of all about her non-crime, hate crime, diddy crime. I don't know if you familiar with that. So that's good. That's the only stuff that's what's gonna change it. Taking the police to court. That's gonna sort.
It's very old. We're in an age where we're taking the police to court.
This isn't the only time they've been taken to court on non-crime, hate crimey stuff. A former policeman did it, and exactly the same thing. That's when they said they were going to get rid of it all, and they never did. But anyway,
I'll just say, by the way, you're right. This is a giant paper. It's been cut off at the top and at the bottom, where we've got Matt's cartoon without a caption. So somehow, even blowing it up this big, we've lost the top and the bottom. So that didn't work.
Good though. I'd say so. They actually have a story about non-crime hate incidents could be renamed instead of scrapped.
Yeah, they don't get it, do they?
Terrifying news. No, they do not. This is the College of Policing, who are the people who bought this ridiculous. It's not even a law.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Well, rebranding.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say it won't work because, like, ASBOs aren't called ASBOs anymore. We know what they are. CRB checks, not CRB check, but we still say that. DVLA is not even called that. Road tax isn't that. We still Opal fruits. I call them that. I refuse to move on this one. I still think that Pippa was played by the original actress on Home and Away.
How are you with Snickers?
I don't even know what that word means to me.
It should be cancelled.
It used to be a marathon.
It's not
it was a marathon.
Branding it. We've got to get rid of it.
Yes.
That's the point. It's meant to be gotten rid of. That's what they're talking about. And now they're just going to try and sneak it through again under a different...
Well, they don't want to scrap it, but they might change the word scrap to keep. As a way of getting around this. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really doing it. It's been very unpopular. We had a story just a few days ago about the woman who had police knock on her door basically to say she hadn't committed a crime because she criticised a politician who she felt should be out, which would be a crime that everyone in the country constantly commits.
But if they rebrand it to not call it non-crime, that is slightly worrying, because at the moment, at least it reminds you of how pointless this is. And you can easily say, when you're a pundit on a sat-around panel saying, police shouldn't do non-crime stuff. They should be involved in solving crimes. You rebrand it, it could get worse.
Too many double negatives.
Can I give you some other front pages?
I want to hear this
page stuff?
fire story, please.
Can I work my way around to it?
No.
No?
I demand to hear it now.
OK, the frequent flyer story is that frequent flying families, they're particularly mentioning families, I don't know whether it will apply to individuals, should face paying more under government climate plans. So there'll be a tax for frequent flying.
That's it. Go to Spain at Easter, and then maybe you're going to go to.
But I'd like to know how. Yes, I'd like to know how it works for someone booking flights for other people, though. Like we have in our business quite a lot. If someone is booking flights for Axe to go to another country, will they stop doing that and say we all have to book our own flights because otherwise they'll have to pay the frequent flyer tax? Well, it's about me. This show's about me. Or if someone is booking flights for me,
also,
do I pay the frequent flyer
tax? How does that affect my tax rate?
What I'm saying is I fly a lot. I'm really popular, Josh.
Well, if you want people to stop flying, make them go from Luton.
Because that would
parking. Yeah, the drop-off. 20 quid to drop off or whatever.
Is it 20 quid now?
Well, it was some amount of money. It's ridiculous.
My gosh, that's totally insane. Yeah, well, this is obviously going to be massively unpopular, but this is because it ties into another story we have coming up about new runways and whatnot, and they're trying to sort of go like, oh, well, if we're going to do that, then this is how we're going to counterbalance it.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Right, let's go on to The Guardian, please.
PM cuts overseas aid. That story massive on the front page, but also there's BBC. We fell short over Westwood misconduct. I'm not sure what you think about it.
Oh, Westwood!
You're a big fan of the BBC, Josh. I know about that.
Big fan of Westwood.
Yeah. Well, and they had chances to spot some of this stuff coming, and they didn't. I mean, this is.
What did he do? He was a bully.
Yeah,
and he was misogynistic.
Predatory behaviour, which means he didn't move, he waited, he stalked his prey.
They're basically saying that they didn't see any signs, but when they admitted there was a range of factors that ought to have alerted them, which seems to be just like that's just the statement they put out every single time anything comes up.
This whole story's copy and paste and just change the names, isn't it? Well, bless the BBC for it, but at least they've got it already filed. Also, there is this story, the peer linked to apparent cash for access venture, which is like the 90s again. It's fun, isn't it? This is a Labour member of the House of Lords, offered access to ministers. Lord Evans of Watford, 82, wow, still earning money, said that he was giving people advice on how to approach Angela Rayner, and I guess slowly. Don't make eye contact, bring some sort of food offering.
Not like, don't take any lessons from Westwood. But I think if you're over 82, I think you should be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah, but, you know, fortunately, most people in the country don't agree with you, Josh.
And also, the other thing I'd like to say is Lord Evans of Watford, I think that he got a bum lordship title, and I think, again, that should be paid. He should be getting all this extra money. He's the one who stuck with Watford.
It's like a sequel to Barry from Watford, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like when they run out of plot.
Right, some more papers. Times. Zelensky to sign deal with US. Daily Express, please do not destroy our family farms. And the Daily Star, liar says liar is a liar. So, Times here, quite interesting. This is the Zelensky story. Kerry?
It is the Zelensky story, yes.
Reveal.
Did you want me just to confirm that? But yeah, OK. So Zelensky is sort of caving into to Trump's demands and making a deal on the minerals, which, do you know what? I think it's all a bit ridiculous, and I think Trump's behaving really badly over this in a Trumpy type of way. But at the same time, he gets what he wants, you know? Yeah. And when I look at a lot of countries, you look at the way people criticise the money that goes to Israel from America, but actually it's a reciprocal deal where America gives money, they then buy arms off America, and what America also gets out of it is the intelligence, they get the tech and so on deals out of it all. So it's quite normal for America to want something for its buck.
What Zelensky wants is peacekeeping afterwards.
Yes.
So this actually could be a good thing for him, Steve. Yeah. Also, supposedly, what I read somewhere was that these minerals actually aren't worth as much.
Yeah, I read that as well, but I don't know what's true or not about that.
But I think it's a good idea. The seed of this plan actually was suggested by Zelensky, so it's not as if this is Trump going, I want to get my hands on this, and then it's been arguing about the amount. But it is it's a clever plan, because some of these minerals are under some of the occupied land. So it's like, oh, this thing you've just bought, Russia's on top of it, so maybe you want to help us get rid of it. Yeah. And actually, it's a good plan.
Fair enough. And a new runway for Gatwick near takeoff, which is interesting. I didn't realise that there was this extra. They've already got the.
That's the thing. It's not a new runway. It's they've got a spare runway already, and they're going to use it. We've been for years sitting around going, we need more airport capacity, and there was a runway sat right there
the whole time.
How did they not notice? Do you think they're just not looking in that direction the whole time?
It's confusing right there, isn't it?
I mean, it's a runway. It's hard to miss a runway. If you put a runway in my garden, I think I haven't even got a garden. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I notice when someone leaves the landing light on.
Hey! We've also got the Daily Express. That just happened. That was a very good joke, mate. I'm sorry I'm not giving the
8-year-old me love that joke.
It's a great joke, mate.
Are we going to mention the AI reforms?
Nah.
Oh, OK.
My
you don't
AI producer says nah. We saw it to the essay. OK. Let's go to the Daily Express, the most manipulative story of the day. Cover.
Please do not destroy our family's farm, says this little boy. Think of the children. For just £5 a week, you could help this.
Dear Rachel Reeves.
And he writes a letter that says, I'd like to inherit my daddy's farm, please.
I'd like to be a billionaire.
He actually says he's a farmer. You're not a farmer. I mean, by your parents, you're a farmer, but you're not a farmer,
right? The advantages of being a farmer and being a parent is that you're going to wake up early anyway.
He's a
farmer's going to hate me.
It's like you've upset an 8-year-old. You know, I don't think that's going to really change Rachel Reeves' opinion on any of this. And he's just grown out of writing to Father Christmas and needed someone new to write to. I think is going on.
That's a weird step, isn't it? Father Christmas to Rachel Reeves.
He literally wants the farm for Christmas. And his brother Arthur, at the age of 10, this is pretty insane. But his brother Arthur says that he's been forced to contemplate the heartbreak of losing his mum and dad.
Yeah.
I mean...
You can't blame Labour for the concept of death.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of annoying things, but they've not introduced that.
Anyway,
come on, he's got freckles. Leave him alone.
Anyway, that is a cute kid there.
He's a cute kid.
He's a
cute kid.
Letter, and he's done some good spelling. I can also see he's drawn a picture of a tractor, which is very impressive. So well done, Leo. Good for you. Daily Star, Bozo Johnson finally says something true.
Oh, is this me?
Yeah.
The headline is "Liar says liar is a liar," and yes, it's Orange Man Baby. That's what they call Donald Trump because they came up with it, and they're never going to let that go. Ever go. We've come up with a thing, it told flat-out lies by calling Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator, and that's according to Bozo. So Boris Johnson. But all they're saying is Boris Johnson and Trump are liars, and one of them has called the other one a liar, and they're really happy about it.
Yeah. But even Macron yesterday sort of called out Trump live during their little chat.
Yeah, he joined in.
So, I mean, I'm glad that people are stepping up to
Did you see all the handshakes?
Oh, my God.
They were hilarious. Did you see the whole mix of them? And they're constantly trying to grab the hand, the limp hand.
We need an international standard on how long a handshake is before it becomes just holding hands.
Yeah, I know.
Right, that's your front pages, but we're just getting going. What's the latest on the BBC Gaza documentary, and how many new laws are coming in to fight crime? Find out in 2 minutes. See you in a second.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
According to a report from the RAC, many drivers see speed limits as a target rather than anything else. More than 50% of us think it's acceptable to break the speed limit.
So this morning we're asking, is it time to increase the motorway speed limit?
Let's talk to automotive journalists Danny Kelly and Steve Fowler. Gents, what a pleasure to speak to you both in one go.
I think we should join many countries in the European Union that have 130 kilometres speed limit, which is around about 81 miles an hour. I drive to London on a weekly basis, and I think the roads are capable of handling higher speeds. I think unofficially the speed limit, without getting pulled over by the local police at the time, is probably around about 78, 80 miles an hour. If a Bobby's on the motorway doing 70 miles an hour, he wants you to overtake him. He wants the free-flowing of that motorway to continue.
So should we change 70 miles an hour? You know, if people are going 80 miles an hour, just stick to 70 miles an hour as a limit. Yes, you know, it's funny when you're driving along the motorway and there's a police car going at 70 and nobody wants to overtake. But if the average is 80, just leave it at 70.
All the gantries now are fitted with the modern signage where they can change the limit at will. We all know that. It's hard to get up to 70 half the time. So, actually, we could apply those rules, couldn't we, at 80 or even 90 miles an hour and say, well, if the weather's bad, let's reduce it. If the fog's bad, let's reduce it.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I hate to use this phrase, smart motorways, but they're the ones where you have the adjustable limits. They don't cover all of the motorway network, relatively small amount of the motorway network. It is a limit. You know, it's not a target, as I keep saying to my kids. God, they're bored of me saying that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Before we get going, on your say we have Anne-Marie, who says that Steve is Mr. Voiceover Man and definitely wins the hard power competition. No. Don't let it go to your head now, Steve. I just want to...
That was really unfair because my mic was
let's have a retrial. You go hard power.
No, why is it me first?
OK, go.
Okay.
Hard power. Hard power.
Hard power. Why'd you cut away? It wasn't me who did that.
Even I got turned on. Yeah, you're right.
Hot.
I hear it now.
Okay.
You just knew you were going to lose. You knew you were going to lose.
All right.
Okay.
Whose career has just had their life support turned off?
Well, I'll tell you. It's a Guardian story that Amanda Pritchard quits as NHS England chief executive in shock move.
Shock.
You can feel the shock. Everything Guardians always say this. Yeah. What? No way. I only just heard her name, to be honest. I was vaguely aware of her, but I've got to say the shock. Maybe the shock has not set in yet.
Yeah.
You know.
You're in shock.
Yeah. I mean, she's going to leave with
Terry Pritchard, isn't she?
What's that?
She's related to Terry Pritchard.
Is she? Is that a fact, or are you?
No, it's true.
It could be true.
Fake news.
No, but it could have been true. So she's leaving with a six-figure payout, which so it's not that shocking for her, I suppose, really. And this is all part of. Well, I don't think it's directly to do with West Streeting. He's kind of accepted the idea, and part of his sweeping changes, which should be called sweeping streeting, because it'd be nice for someone to get a nice epithet for a change. He seems like a good bloke and knows what he's doing, you know. And I think I'll be interested to see what his changes are going to be. But what happened was
nothing to do with West Streeting. Just immediately after their massive meeting together.
Well, they're saying that it was not directly connected, but it probably was. But what was connected was the Public Accounts Committee, which criticised her and her deputy, and then the next day, within 12 hours, the Health and Social Care Committee thought they'd get stuck in and criticise her as well.
Shorter than time to get a GP appointment.
Yeah, exactly. And she's going to be replaced for now by Jim Mackey, who I don't know either. And the Guardian has not told me which emotion to feel about that, so I've got no idea whether they haven't said shocked or delighted or anything. So
they say he's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
They're saying he's pretty good. That's not much to go on.
She does defend a record, though.
Yes.
The bit where she says the NHS now feels very different to when I became chief executive. Yeah, like people are dying on waiting lists. There's never been a longer waiting list. The A&E's an absolute nightmare. Well done.
OK, well, let's go to the Mirror now, Steve, who are reporting 50 shades of dismay for criminals.
Over 50 new laws to be unveiled today in biggest crime-fighting shake-up in decades.
Yippee!
This one's going to shock you. The Guardian's going to be shocked. Shoplifting to be a crime.
That's a big step.
It is. Yeah, it's going to change things. There's also geotagging. Actually, I totally agree with loads of these, actually. I think it's really annoying. I've been in shops where people come in, nick stuff and run out, and I'm still queuing to pay. Yeah. I don't mind paying as much as I mind queuing. They're out of that door quicker than I am.
They should queue to shoplift.
Yes, if they waited longer than me, have your free food. Geotagging, the thing where you hear loads of the stories where people know that their stuff's been nicked, they know which house it's in, but the police can't do anything. Well, no more, because the police will have the ability to just, without a warrant, go in and get your stuff. If that actually happens, that will be fantastic. Yep. One slight complaint is how, maybe it's just how it's written up, that they've gendered the crime of stalking. New stalking powers, and this is working on their violence against women and girls. Has no one seen Baby Reindeer? It's like the only thing people talked about for ages.
I had a stalker. In university.
Oh, who hasn't?
I had a woman stalker.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But yes,
I've had loads.
But personally, I think I agree with you, and Kerry, maybe you do. Are there any of these laws that stand out for you, particularly good, particularly bad? Because I think that they all make common sense. And again, it's that thing where you're reading them, you're going, how is this not? How is this not already?
I disagree with all of them.
Oh wow!
I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. I love crime. No, crime's bad, you know. But at the same time, I've got reservations about some of these because some of them are just laws that are being updated, really.
The child
as far as hold on. Let's go with this one first. The one you're talking about is the knowing GP tracking and so on. But I have that. I'm constantly being told by the GP tracker on my phone that my computer is still in a hotel in Manchester or somewhere when I know it's in my car or it's in my bag that I got on me. So I'm not sure whether a law like that gets, unless it's absolutely accurate, I don't see how that doesn't get abused.
On the plus
with
side,
the police saying we can now go into any house without a warrant just because there's a tracker claiming it.
It'll only be the hotel that gets raided, though, not you.
In that particular demonstration I've just given, but there might be other cases, Steve.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, so yeah, they can take road bikes and e-scooters, but it doesn't mention whether there's a crime involved. That's another part here which I'm a bit concerned about. Tackling phone thefts, very nice, but also the use of polygraph tests coming back in, and there's not been some new achievement with polygraph tests. They're still about 60 to 80% effective. So I'm not sure what difference that makes, really. So some of this stuff, yes, and some of it. The AI material with pictures and videos depicting children sounds right to me, but at the same time, I think the jury's still out on AI pornography generally, whether it's whether it actually exacerbates crime or whether it is a form of treatment for people with problems. So I don't know.
Why'd you have to go there? We were so nearly out of the story.
Because I like reality, Josh.
But AI pictures have too many fingers. That's what ruins the porn for me.
OK, Express, Harry.
You didn't want to take that further.
Whose meal ticket might be about to expire?
Labour crackdown on staff taking the P word. They're not taking the word, but spending thousands on lavish meals and wine. So basically, everything coming from America right now, we're just copying. We're doging now. So we're doging through the this Labour crackdown.
We've never doged civil servants before.
Well, I imagine we have, but we're making a big deal of it here. Top civil servants across all government departments have been asked to urgently review spending on the procurement cards used to buy goods and services. And this is a letter to permanent secretaries, Catherine Little, Civil Service Chief, Operating Officer and Cabinet Officer, Permanent Secretary. I'm reading the whole thing, aren't I?
Yeah.
I noticed I was doing that. Said she was concerned by some examples, which I was getting to the sentence of more early. I don't know why. I just thought it was a good catchphrase for them.
I thought you were going to
anyway,
down to the other promoted stories bit.
Well, the thing is, I looked through to see. I thought they were going to give us lots of funny examples of ridiculous. No, they've got two examples. I thought we were going to get pages of all the funny things they've been spending on. Okay. But crystal glasses and English sparkling wine. I'll just say briefly on this. What I feel like is this is really unfair on them because it feels like we've had this in our business for years. There's always, I won't say their names, but we know who they are. A comedian called Mr. X and another one called Mr. Y. I'll call them for now. And whenever you turn up somewhere, the rider has been taken away from us because X and Y have drunk it all last time.
Do you remember that we went on that
they've wrecked the hotel?
Do you remember when we went on that skiing trip together and you bought your missus at the time?
Yes.
And then that was the last time we were allowed to bring girlfriends and whatever.
No, what are you talking about?
Oh, you don't remember that one?
No.
Oh, that's funny.
That never happened, Josh.
Yes,
that never happened.
That did happen.
When?
Massive. You and Phil, I bought your girlfriends. You spent way too much money, and then suddenly we had to eat all our meals at home in the chalet and everything.
That was my girlfriend, Josh.
Terrible, terrible behaviour. Right, we're halfway, and you do not want to miss what we got.
I can't believe that came up. Now hold on. Let's get back to this story about my girlfriend. What are you talking about? That never happened. Rubbish. Absolutely.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is the nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Headlands. I'd just like to apologise to Kerry Marks for slandering him. It wasn't him, it was actually Nick Doody and Kirsty Hughes. On to the Telegraph, Steve. And this is why I've just spent my evening shouting outside the BBC.
You shouting?
Yes!
Turns and looks at the comment section.
Power!
And so the Express says, BBC removed references to Jews and jihad in Gaza documentary. The documentary. The one that so many people are upset about, including me. This is the one the voiceover was the son of...
Well, it followed him around. He was a protagonist.
Yeah, but as someone who does voiceovers, that's what bothers me.
Nepotism, right?
Yeah, exactly. This Nepo baby, which I've not heard any of the coverage calling this.
Terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, I was annoyed when the BBC only had Scottish voiceovers. I couldn't get work there, but now they've gone for, like, sons of terrorists or whatever. Anyway, so they've been accused of whitewashing by editing some of the translation. A word that should be translated into the Jews.
Yahud, in Arabic.
You see?
Is Jews.
You've done your research.
And they always do. They always put it as Israelis.
Yeah, and they put it as Israelis. And the BBC, this is like... I'm not sure this is the worst crime of this documentary. This is, you know, whitewashing. And if you look at some of the... In context, some of the sentences that were said, there's a woman who says, the Jews invaded our area, and looking at what she would be talking about, she would be talking about Israeli forces, and what they've whitewashed is her racism.
Yes. And well, this is what they do, Kerry, isn't it? There's jihad against the Jews was mistranslated as saying he was fighting Israeli forces. There's just a full article of loads of these examples.
There's loads of examples, and if it wasn't insidious, it's actually quite funny. It's like a bad translator, and there's someone going, I want to kill all the Jews, and someone going, Israelis, and, you know, no, the Jews.
I want to kiss
Israelis. Yeah. So, yeah, it happens throughout. I mean, you're right, it's one of the least complaints, but it goes back with the BBC quite a way. There was the bus incident a few years ago where a bus full of Jewish children got celebrating Hanukkah, surrounded by some angry Muslim men who were banging on the bus and spitting at it and doing Nazi salutes. And someone on the bus, one of the kids on the bus, in Yiddish said, "Someone, please help us."
Yeah,
you know?
Call the police. Call for help.
Call the police. Help us.
Call for help.
And the BBC translated it as, or didn't translate it. Actually, they just announced they'd heard that someone on the bus had started it by being rude about Muslims. So yeah, exactly. And it took them a year to look into a translation and then put that right.
I talked about this tonight. I gave a speech at this protest, and I talked about exactly that. Look, the whole story is like totally insane. They basically then changed it to a slur. The border deputies had to pay for world experts in audio to come in and prove that it was Hebrew that was spoken. Even then, they wouldn't receive it. And 3 years later, that article's still up, and all it says now is that it's contested.
Does it really?
Yeah, still up to this day.
But they've never produced any information or even reason or evidence, whatever, to suggest that they had any right to say it in the first place.
And that's got nothing to do with Israel, by the way.
No, that's what I mean. That's a demonstration of how the BBC should be able to do a basic piece of translation. But when they won't call Hamas a terrorist organisation, how do they admit that they hate Jews, you know, when they don't exist as a terrorist organisation in the first place, according to the BBC?
Yeah, with this documentary, they have said that they should have done their due diligence, but they probably said...
You just committed career Jewicide with the pun.
I just want to say, a woman being interviewed about October 7th said, we were invading the Jews for the first time. Now, the reason why that's so important to keep that translation as it is, rather than saying the first time we invaded Israel, there's a big difference between the first time we invaded Israel and we are invading the Jews for the first time. It's because you have to understand what the mentality is for the majority of Gazans, where they see it as a religious war against Jews. We're trying to say it's about land and stuff, but it isn't. It's the people who went over into Israel and committed these horrific acts were proud and to be killing Jews, and even to be possibly dying, because they see themselves, if they kill Jews, they get to go to heaven. that religious aspect.
Well, the pay for slay is for killing a Jew.
Yeah. And they're proud of it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, even the former head of the BBC, Danny Cohen, is saying that there's a serious problem with the BBC. So hopefully all this is going to, provoke some change, but it won't.
Feel free to watch my full speech online, a little bit shouty. On to the Telegraph, Steve, and this is why... Oh, no, there we go. Let's kick things off with Wednesday's Times and who might be building a Nazi army brick by brick. Or, as I like, the alternative thing was Mein Kampf.
Oh, nice. That was referring to the Minecraft, yeah?
Yes.
OK, thank you. How the far right recruits children making Hitler on Minecraft. Are we doing 2 Jew stories in a row, Josh? Because I thought that was against... I thought we were going to avoid doing those ones. Well, actually includes the Ku Klux Klan, so we're mixing up a little bit now.
Good people on all sides is what you're saying.
Yeah, this is about how the far right uses Minecraft and other games in order to... to promote their ideas and recruit. I think it actually goes on with the right and the hard left using ideologies in every way they can do to get into young people's heads. But this is particularly with games. There's games called Tunnel Rabbi and Yiddish Catacombs, which, Tunnel Rabbi could have been a positive thing. It sounds fun, doesn't it? But it turns out that it's not. It's
my favourite game.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's... The thing is, yes, this is definitely going on. It's something to watch out for. At the same time, I think sometimes we overdo it. We see that people playing games and exercising their imagination is necessarily always got an evil path to it, and it always has influence, like Monopoly turns people into capitalists, and chess makes you a white supremacist, and eating egg and toast soldiers makes you want to dip soldiers in eggs, which you want to do that anyway. It's fun.
But the problem here, Stephen, I should go to someone who's got... your kids probably don't play Minecraft yet. It's open world, so you go in, you can go into other people's worlds, and that's why the idea is you're going to see this imagery, be pulled in by this imagery. Yeah. I mean, they're slightly dangerous. I mean, my kids are on Minecraft, and I think that's why they're no longer speaking to me. They call me Jew.
They make the point that if you play this a lot, then you won't even see the swastika as a problem because you get so used to it. But I'm of a generation where I was just playing games like Wolfenstein, so I don't really see what the problem is.
It should be pointed out, this is the Times, but again, I just want to mirror Kerry's point here. I'm sure this stuff is dangerous, and I know it does go on, but no mention at all of computer games being used by the far left and by Islamists. And I just think when you're not going to focus on those elements as well, which we know do go on.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of desire to control the way children think, really. So
yeah, but it's also controlling the way that we think, the way that children think.
Well, maybe we just think that because they've controlled us. What? I don't know anymore.
On to the Times, hard power. On to the Times, Kerry, and too much slavery...
it's not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Museum slavery focus has become humdrum, historian says. This is actually quite an interesting story. This is Simon Sebag Montefiore, who's a great historian, by the way, very interesting writer, great books, very interesting talker. And the talk was at the Times and British Museum debate on Monday. And what he's really saying is that we might be we're not really saying we might be, saying we are overdoing and really just sort of thrashing this one too much, because and it's certainly the subject of slavery, and that it is in everything. So if you look at a picture of any aristocrat from it's like, well, obviously they were involved in slavery. The frame it's in was used in slavery somehow. Sugar is in slavery. There's a milk exhibition that was on a while ago, and it turned out to be all about the history of milk and slavery. And we know slavery happened, but it'd be better if we had a clearer understanding of how slavery is manifested throughout the world, and the Middle Eastern slave trade and so on, how Britain eventually turned against slavery and all the efforts it made. And so I think really what he's saying is there's a lot more to it. I mean, if you go to the S&M Museum, there's loads of references to slavery, and not sure why. What do you think, Steve?
He makes the point that...
Hey, excuse me. Don't do my job.
Let him do it, yeah.
What do you think, Steve?
Good question. I like the point of saying that if every single artist and every single work has the plaque on it pointing out this person had a link to slavery, it would be quicker to just have one little sign on the door as you go in, just going, this lot. And then you can crack on with actually paying attention to the art. And that's what it's about. I understand people's urge to want to put some context to it, but it can't all be that slice of context and nothing about the art. And that's what he's saying. That's the path.
But also, sorry, you're done with it, aren't you?
What do you think, Kerry?
Well...
you.
I think he's also making some interesting points. Like he talks about Thomas Jefferson, who was the third United States president, and how he had his wife's half-sister was his sister's slave, with whom he had 6 children. So what he's saying is that there's a much more complex story to be told, rather than a very simple. Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah.
Am I my brother's keeper? Well, she was with his sister.
OK, one more section to go, and why you've got to watch out for people in wigs. And don't worry if you've lost your phone. See you in 2.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading away for some winter sun through this week, there will be some fine weather around across parts of the Mediterranean, but currently around the eastern Med it's still fairly unsettled. Some heavy rain, some strong winds and temperatures well below average for the time of year, but these are gradually going to be lifting. Further west, a drier story across many parts of, well, France and Spain, but there is some wet weather starting to push its way in as we go later on this week. Otherwise, some decent sunshine on offer. See you later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A brighter start across eastern areas tomorrow, but feeling chilly with some patchy frost. A different story in the west, turning wet and windy here with some heavy showers following on behind. This is where we see this frontal system slowly moving its way eastwards across the country, but a slight ridge of high pressure before this, which means most showers across England and Wales will ease away overnight. That's away from the far north of Scotland, but plenty of clear skies means temperatures are soon going to dip away, and that leads us to a frosty start tomorrow. But different in the west, clouds spilling in here with some outbreaks of rain, particularly for Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England. We could actually see some quite heavy downpours by the morning and turning rather blustery around western coasts too. Temperatures largely remaining just above freezing, particularly in the west where we see these cloudier skies, but quite a wet start across parts of Devon and Cornwall, Wales, eventually moving into central parts of England too. Northern Ireland could see some quite heavy showers, and as we see this heavy rain move across northern parts of England, we may even see some snow across high ground in the Pennines, but largely dry and bright across the far north and northeast of Scotland, though we can't rule out a few showers moving into coastal areas. Outbreaks of rain will move their way eastwards erratically through the course of the day, and it turns a little bit brighter behind this, but still plenty of showers. These could be heavy with some hail at times. The driest and brightest of the weather remains to be across the far north and northeast of Scotland. And temperatures will see a slight dip into tomorrow, particularly across Scotland, where highs will only reach around 6 to 7 Celsius, but still above average across parts of the south. Another chilly start on Thursday, likely seeing some patchy frost, but for many a much drier day, plenty of sunshine on offer, though we can't rule out a few showers around coastal areas, particularly once again across the far northwest of the country. And as high pressure begins to build, that means largely dry and bright on Friday and Saturday too, away from the northwest, will eventually turn wet and windy over the weekend. Bye-bye.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. Kerry, the Times next, and some kind words for our friend of the show, Graham Linehan.
Yeah, this is Chris O'Dowd, the headline, Chris O'Dowd, I wish Graham Linehan was writing more. OK, this is partly a change we're seeing around now with sort of the wokey stuff is dying down a little bit, and I think partly it was all because it's been a long time since World War II, and people just got bored and found little things to start really annoying them, you know, and getting too crazy. Even Ash Sarkar is now championing a movement against herself. And everything she's been saying.
The other day, Captain of the Titanic blames the passengers.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it? But the headline says, I wish... So obviously he's standing up for Graham Linehan now. The headline says, I wish Graham Linehan was writing more. But this article is so long that I wish the writer was writing less. Because I looked for the bit where he's going, OK, so the headline is about Graham Linehan, but then really it's all about Chris O'Dowd and everything that he's done and more that he's done and what he's done. There's some nice stuff. He's co-starred this, he's done that, he's done lots of successful things.
The IT crowd.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
We don't necessarily know who he is.
And all his thoughts on everything. Well, there's a lot more than that as well, you know.
Yeah,
well, it's just
other things.
It's an interview with him, and he mentions Graham once, and that's the headline.
Yes. Yeah, which we finally get down to at the end. And I'm not sure he's really defending him so much as saying that you know, people should be able to debate these things and not and that he's sort of blaming the media for spreading division.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good that people are now being a little bit braver. It's frustrating because you're like, oh, it's easier to be braver after lots of, particularly women, have lost their jobs and their livelihoods about this stuff, and now you're going to kind of step up. And also, it's a bit sort of like, well, I don't want to get into his views. What views that there are only two sexes? I mean, come on, it's like it's a start. But
it's a bit like people are swimming back in with the tide, though, isn't it? You know, that's the way the tide's going now. They're going, well, that's easy.
Post-cast report as well, but also, so the headline is, I wish he was writing more. He is. That's the slap across the face.
And he's out in America.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We lost him in the UK because of the cowardice of our comedy industry, unfortunately.
Yes.
Right, let's go on to the Wednesday's Mail, Steve, and it's a real Guess Who with wigs.
Fraudster 61 admits using array of wigs to complete UK citizenship tests on behalf of 13 men and women. Some of these wigs must have been good. There's some real Mr. Ben vibes to this. She changes a hat, goes out the back, looks entirely different. So this woman admitted committing fraud to complete UK citizenship tests on behalf of 13 applicants. You know, bad, wrong, and I thought, well, how difficult can it be? According to the stats, it's only one in four applicants fail the test. And there are questions on our constitution. I don't think we have one, so I'm failing this already. Medieval history to art and sport. Sport, in a pub quiz, I can't do sport. I would fail this test.
Yeah, apparently most British people would, apparently.
Yeah, because
I love this line they've put here, that the Home Office, previously said fraudsters completing the test for others could lead to people wrongly being granted the right to remain. Could it? Well, really?
My favourite bit is that she says, we believe her motive was financial gain, as opposed to just altruism.
Just altruism. She loved people. She wants, but also, you know, she's going to win Mastermind at some point with her specialist subject, Life in UK test, which she's now studied so thoroughly. She must win every time.
You became a UK citizen today?
Huh?
You know he became a UK citizen today?
No, I don't, Josh.
My dad. After 60 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from Australia.
Well, you say that, but he oddly looked like a woman in a wig.
Strange. Right. Yeah. True. Time's next, Steve, and the Germans want you to dress in a certain way, otherwise they'll want to see your papers.
Don't wear terrorist fancy dress to carnivals, warns German police.
It's good advice.
They've got some good advice. Don't dress as a bank robber in a bank. Don't dress as Savile near that hospital. They've got so many good pieces of advice here. And it's because in their pre-Lent carnival, Weiberfastnacht, which sounds painful. It's Old Wives' Day, and they're all getting dressed up, and the advice is, things are a bit tense right now.
Yeah.
Don't dress as the guy driving a vehicle towards a bunch of people, because that would be stupid, because you're going to get shot.
How do you dress as a guy driving a car?
They didn't say that.
What does that mean?
Kerry, what would be the worst thing to dress as?
Well, no, wait a second. What does it even mean to dress as a terrorist? What is that? How do you dress as a terrorist?
Don't make us say it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to make you say it out loud. Or even, like, you know, a car terrorist. It's like that. If you're someone who drives a car into people, so if you're driving a car, you look like you're a terrorist now. Yeah. It basically means don't be absolutely silly. I knew a street performer years ago who he used to, in his street act, he would bring out a fake gun, and then he did his act in New York, and he brought out his fake gun, and suddenly a load of real guns were pointing at him.
Right, show is nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Wednesday's front pages. Daily Mail, PM, hand power... Oh, hard power.
Hand power. You've lost it since the beginning of the show.
Speak for yourself.
It's gone down and down.
Telegraph reads calls on Europe to step up. Guardian, PM cuts overseas aid to increase defence budget in fight for peace. The Times, Zelensky to sign deal with US. Daily Express, please do not destroy our family farms. And the Daily Star, liar says liar is a liar. That is it for tonight's show. Thank you to my guests Steve and Kerry, Nick Dixon.